Hello, friends. Welcome to the Ebony Otaku, the well-rounded nerd. Homegirl does not need a copyright strike from one of the biggest channels on YouTube. But hey, love my theory wear. It fits great and feels good. Got the leggings on and everything today. So let's do something fun. Legos. Legos and lore. I love the concept. Let's see if I cannot talk too much while I put said Legos together. Yeah, right. I'm literally paid to talk for a living. So, homegirl is verbose. But seriously, so y'all seen the collection of Legos that have been given to me. And recently, like a couple of weeks ago when I was out shopping, saw these. And I thought these were some good intermediate Legos. I had actually recorded a Lego video from a top-down perspective, putting together a bigger project, and it was too much to do the talkie and the put together, because I like Legos. I love them when they're done, but I've never been quite I'm not a Lego person like that. I didn't grow up like, ooh, Legos. I like the Connect sets, the Erector sets, but I was never a Lego person. But getting into it because there's a lot of cool properties in Lego. And y'all seen, pause. My husband got me this just as a, when I finished my degree, he got me this as a graduation present. And it is, oh God, hold up. Jesus, it's over 2,000 pieces. And he got me the light up to go with it as well, which I'm very grateful for, but I am not at this level yet. So I'm using the little sets to practice. So, can I do it? Because obviously I suck at transforming Transformers. But we're going to attempt to put this guy together today. Let's talk Star Wars. And if I say the name of a character that belongs to another franchise, well, I guess you just need to never click on my videos again, because people never misspeak. But you did. Go ahead and give me the timestamp of when I misspeak and say something wrong, and let me know it was wrong. Look at me in my eyeballs. Let me give you nerds some dating advice. Just a nerdy girl. To all of the nerdy singles out there, you win more friends with honey. You do not always have to prove that you know the most about fiction. I'm just saying, if you're wondering why she didn't call you back, that's why. So, is this one on my level? Let us find out. So, this is an unboxing and put together. So let's see what we're working with here. I got good light today. I might do more recording in the late evening because it seems like I've got more control over what things look like in here. And it is super bright. You can see how very blue my hair is. I've already picked out my next hair color. I change my hair every month or so because that is God's will. It is a woman's prerogative to change her hair as often as she likes. I was looking around because I know they have a spot on these boxes to open them the right way. And there are members of my household who are very Lego obsessed. And if things are not done the Lego way, I will hear about it. So, this looks like it's the Mandalorian. And, oh, there's 2 bags. Okay, so I don't know what this goes to. This has a 2 on it as well. What else is in here? Oh, God. We might not do the whole thing tonight. We might just do one of these. Okay, I see green in here and ears. Obvious. This is Grogu. He's Baby Yoda. I don't care. You know what? If they didn't want him to be named Baby Yoda, they should have given him a name before the fans did. We called him Baby Yoda. He's Baby Yoda in perpetuity. Okay? All right. So, according to the box, this is what I should end up with at the end. Huh. Oh, and it's even got his little pod that he sits in. Okay, that is super cute. If I can do this. So the Mandalorian is 114 pieces and the child, Baby Yoda, is 113. So, they're basically the same amount of pieces. This is for ages 10 plus. I'm over 10. Y'all, it was tragic. And it turned out, though, that the last little fighter I was trying to put together, I was getting so frustrated because I got stuck on a page because I couldn't find a piece, and dug through. Turned out didn't have the piece. But you know what I found out? If you're missing a piece from your set, Lego will just send it to you. I didn't know. Like, okay, Lego. Okay. So this is a 10 and up. Okay. So I thinks we try for the Mandalorian first, because he comes first in the series. So that would be proper. How about we go for this one on this try? We go for him on the next try. I think that's fair. Yes. Yes. With my channel, it's what I'm doing. So let's see what we've got here. So luckily, the instructions here are always super clear for my reading. Okay, so we need the bags called 2. That's a 1, so not for this time. Where's the box? You know, I threw the box on the floor. Let's bring that box back. So don't need the 1s. I need the 2. That's a 2, 2, and 1. Oh, this is a little pod. That's not the Mandalorian. Okay, so I got my 2s. I know, like we're a real sophisticated setup here, aren't we? Let's say hair. Let's say hair. So, all right. So, according to the instructions, I need all the 2s, and that will end me up with him. We shall see. So, let me dig out my first set of bricks I'm going to need here, and we're going to put it together. Not going to lie, I am 8 seconds into separating these pieces. I'm already like, oh God, can we do this? You know what's interesting? I feel like when I was a child, I was better at doing this than I am now. There's something about the adult brain that rejects fun. Like, can't explain it, but there's something about getting older that makes it harder for you to be creative. I'm sure there's a scientific explanation for that. I don't know what it is because I'm no scientist. But there's just something about it that makes your brain go, huh, well, it was fun having fun. I'm collecting pieces as I talk. It was fun having fun. You don't need any of that fun anymore. Gonna need you to, you know, settle down. Okay, so I'm building onto this little base that I just built. So we've got this little brown bit. I know these are the technical terms. So just stay with me as I go through all this technicality of Lego building. I don't know what any of these pieces are called. I'm sure you Lego people know what they're called. I do not. Just had a warning pop up. I don't know the names of all the different Lego bits. There is a member of my household who does, who will let me know when I get things incorrect. Again, there, Rita, she didn't call you back. So I was going to talk about just general Star Wars lore, but that's no fun because we all were socialized to Star Wars in a different way. I thought these were the same piece, and they are not. And see, and that's how they get you. You think you picked up the right piece, and you haven't. Okay. I was going to talk about, like, all the lore and, oh, where the movies are going and blah, blah, blah. But I like to keep things positive on my channel because, as you know, being the well-rounded nerd, I'm kind of very much pro, yay, they are catering to nerds in this new era of Hollywood. Now, to be fair, they've always kind of catered to nerdity. So I grew up in the age of, what was the first? A lot of them were made right before I was born, like the Labyrinths and the Willows and all of those. Princess Bride, that I'm not gonna lie, it's not one of my favorite movies. Don't come for me. I mean, it exists, but it's just inconceivable as to why so many people love it. Not my cup of tea. Someone's gonna come for me. I just messed up my whole bag. Anywho, I digress. I came into the love of Star Wars probably when I was about 8 or 9 years old. Like, my dad was a sci-fi person. He was very much an animation person. So I get all of this 100% from my dad. So he was always the kind of person who enjoyed, like, animation more than, like, traditional, I guess what you would call adult media. Because there's a lot of folks out there who still think cartoons and whatnot, fantasy, anything in that genre is only for children. Like, well, you ain't read them comic books. It's always what trips me up when people are like, oh my god, they're being this, that, or the other with this media. It's like, wow, you obviously have not read any of the source material. But my dad was very much into animation and sci-fi, fantasy, the whole thing. So I inherited that love from him. So growing up, when me and him would watch TV together, it was typically something on the sci-fi or fantasy side. Like the Sci-Fi Channel was our favorite channel. So every year at New Year's time, which I don't know if they do this anymore because I have not had network television in my house in a very long time. But when I was younger, they would run every New Year's, the Sci-Fi Channel would run the Twilight Zone for like 72 straight hours. Like that's all they do was the Twilight Zone. And I'd sit there and I'd watch the whole thing. Like it was great. Get all my best ideas from Mr. Rod Serling, the GOAT of sci-fi, and unique horror, and just enjoy that, So I guess I kind of have a head start in that my dad, for a living, he was a chemist by trade. That's what he went to school for. But then he ended up being owning kind of like a consulting firm, like in the early days of networking and people needing to hook computers up. So he had his own networking firm where he did that kind of work for people. Finding these pieces is just wearing me out. Ooh, look at that. Look, I don't know what this is, but it looks like the picture, and that's all that matters. Look, I'm very proud of myself right now. Look, they're the same. Yay. But I got my love of animation from him and my love of all things sci-fi, nerdy, and all that kind of thing. It was really cool because I think the first time I actually got to watch Star Wars was, I was about 8 years old. And it wasn't even because my parents thought it wasn't appropriate for kids. At 8 years old, I was unaware that it existed. My first big fandom, I remember, was Jim Henson. So I was a huge fan, still am, a huge fan of the Muppets, everything the Muppet Studio does. Love, love, love. Every year must watch Muppet Christmas Carol. It is the only version that matters because there is singing from a street corner choir and it matters. Don't make me sing the whole thing right now because I will. But I really value that my dad encouraged my love of adventure, of fantasy, of science fiction, of reading, of exploring different properties, because that's what opened me up to being a well-rounded nerd and probably put me in the disposition, to end up marrying someone who was relatively nerdy. I know that man's thankful because I don't look at his collection and go, oh, why do you have all those toys? I'm over here. I came with my own cart full, but then also, fantasy and sci-fi is fun. Like I've said many a times before on this channel, escapism is fun. We enjoy these things because they let us get out of the reality of the world for a little while. And reading does the same thing. Some people like to escape this way. Others like to pick up a book. I love to read as well. I mean, if you see the banner at the top of my channel, it's, me reading. So I've always been grateful that at a young age, my parents didn't hold back. Like, my dad and I also really liked horror movies as well. We found them funny and silly. Growing up, I watched It when I was 6. Didn't scare me. Not even a little. People were like, oh my God, it was so scary. Tim Curry's so freaky. Tim Curry's a great actor, but that version of It did not even a little bit frighten me. Even at 6, 7 years old. I was just like, at that point, because, we were watching zombie movies and the Freddy Krueger movies and everything else. When I was a kid, my mom had no idea that her 6, 7-year-old daughter, when her and my brother were out doing, whatever mothers and sons go out and do and have fun together, me and my dad just be in the living room watching Sci-Fi Channel on repeat, because back in the day, the Sci-Fi Channel wasn't just playing sci-fi, they played all horror movies too. So that was my whole upbringing. And then when the Cartoon Network came about. Cartoon Network was created at some point in my childhood, and then Nickelodeon went more cartoons than anything else, because they had some live action dramas, but then they really leaned heavily into creating their own cartoons. Like, it just exploded. So like me and my dad's bonding time was over watching all of these different properties. But it was really cool the first time that I got to watch Star Wars. Oh my God, the thing is starting to look like a thing. So the first time I got to watch Star Wars, I remember it because the movie made an impact on me. It was so cool. But I was about 8 years old. And this was before they redid them and they did the special editions, which when I turned about 14 or 15, how old was I when they did the special editions? You know, the ones in the gold VHS box, which I still have, by the way, just because it's precious to me. Worth nothing, can't watch it, but I have it. How old was I when they came out with the special editions? Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it was pre-special edition, so all of the mistakes were still in there. Where, like, if you looked through, like, the edge of the fighters on what was it? The Empire Strikes Back. You know, when they're in the snow scene, they had to like wash out so much because they filmed on matte screens. The reason those movies felt so different and real is because everything basically was real. There wasn't CGI the way it is now. They had to do a lot of practical special effects. And when, you know, they're putting film over film, like when you do stuff on a white background and you've got something black and it's flying around, like what they did was they washed out the cockpit so that that black line wouldn't show, like stuff like that. So like that's the version that I was introduced to as a kid, the original like cinematic release. The joy of being a child and watching something like that, especially a child, you know, that many years ago, was one, it was still impressive to me. These pieces are so little and fiddly. It was still impressive to me. And it was something that I know my dad, when he and my mother had been dating, before I was born, I think that was I know that was one of the movies they actually went out to go see when they were dating, you know. So there, a lot of our parents have stories like that, where when these initial big sci-fi properties were coming out, I'm looking down because I'm looking for pieces, were coming out, that like they have memories that this is where they had their first date, the first time they kissed, blah, 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 you know, all that icky stuff you don't want to think about your parents. But at the time, you know, being, 8 years old, I thought, that this was an old movie because it, was more than 10 minutes old. And then we sat down and watched it. And my God, today, Star Wars sucked me in. First time I watched it. I don't know what this is going to be, but I am trusting this book that it's going to end up great. My little 8-year-old mind was blown the first time I watched Star Wars. I thought, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. You've got the laser sword fighting. You have all of these different characters that were created by Jim Henson's Creature Shop, I later found out, and when I was older, which is probably part of the reason I really liked it, with all the puppets that they used for the aliens and whatnot. And part of the reason they look so good and still hold up today was so many of the effects were practical. Like the speeder that Luke has when he's driving around on his home planet. You notice there's like that orange fuzz at the bottom. Well, it's on wheels and on a track, but what they did was they like put Vaseline on the camera lens to fudge out the wheels to make it look like it was floating on a force field. Like, the ingenuity of those movies and that type of movie making is mind-blowing. I'm not sure we could do it today. So one of the things I've learned over the years in putting the Legos together is if it doesn't fit smoothly together, then that means you did it wrong. Because none of the pieces should have to be forced into their spot. But I think the hard part for me, but I'm not colorblind. And if someone is, I don't know how they do this. I'm sure Lego has because my stepson has color blindness. And I've got a good friend at work who is as well. Like, how do you tell, like, what shade of piece you should be using? Like, I'm sure Lego has a system. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe this is shaded in a way that it works. But I'm sitting here going, a Dr. Gory piece or the brown piece? you know, hoping that I end up with, like this right now. Does this look like anything? What is this supposed to be? But it looks exactly like, yeah, don't drop it. But it looks exactly like the thing. So this has to be right, right? This is right. I am on page 9 of 47. So I think I'm doing this right. So this little piece faces that way. And this goes here. Yes? I mean, why? So why are the little seats sticking up if this just goes right here over it? Or that's not a seat. It says it goes here, but there's nothing for it to clip into. I am so confused. We're just gonna have to trust the book on this, because it doesn't feel like there's anything for this to clip into. Like, I don't, like, it says it goes here, and I put all the pieces. That's where it says it goes. So we're just gonna shut this to the side and start building the next piece. Y'all have no idea how much I'm suffering to get these itty bitty little parts together. I see why it's made for 10-year-olds. This will keep them busy for some time. Parents, I peep your game. Anywho, where was I? So yeah, so 8-year-old me really loves the whole, pew pew pew, and the space adventure and all of that of Star Wars. And it was really cool because I was fortunate enough to have a parent who didn't say, oh, well, that's, we don't indulge in that kind of thing. Which, whatever, every parent's allowed to raise their kid however they want. Can't knock you for raising your kid however. But what I do appreciate is that as I got older and I started discovering like anime and other things like that, because I guess I was raised in a household that already was kind of pro fantasy, pro enjoy. I didn't encounter some of that like counterculture nerd resistance that a lot of teens seem to get. It's already difficult being a teenager, and if you do anything that's even like half a degree off from what the world considers, normal, then it just can ruin your whole ability to socialize. But I was fortunate enough to have parents who were so pro, you go out there and you just enjoy your nerdy little life, that it never crossed my mind that anything about the properties that I enjoyed were odd or weird or socially different. Like, it just never came up. I can't even. So I was like, ooh, this piece over here, it's just sliding around. It's not doing anything. So I just finished the other half. Okay, Lego, I'm going to stop doubting you and just follow and trust the process. Because watch this. This just slides in and now it holds itself in place. Oh, God, it's starting to look like him. This is his head. I will say, once you start getting stuff together and there's less pieces on your desk, table, whatever to choose from to put all this together, it gets a whole lot easier. So, I think this is part of his helmet. So this guy goes here. And if you hear any extra background noise, well, there's people playing, where are they playing right now? Fortnite in this house. You ain't ever heard young people play Fortnite, good God. It's a lot. Anywho, back to me. So I was fortunate that my parents, especially my dad, encouraged my nerdity. I found Star Wars just to be absolutely engrossingly amazing as a child. I wish, well, no, I don't, because it's important that everybody gets the version of childhood they're going to get. there was something really special about being an 80s kid, a 90s kid. Like, we were in between huge changes in technology and the way things are done. So when I was coming up and experiencing new movies and that type of thing, oh my goodness, this is so great. Oh my God, so fun. There was still that gritty realism to movies, and we were also in a place where kind of anything goes. You know, the 80s and 90s were probably some of the coolest times in America. And for all of you who didn't get to experience it, I'm so sorry. But like, that was like when America peaked. It was like 1987 to like 1994. Like, that was as good as it was ever going to get. Sorry, we're not going back. But the popular media then just seemed more open and free. Like, everyone could poke fun at everybody else and it was okay. That's as far as into that I'm going to talk. There really weren't topics that were taboo or off limits. Oh, I need 2 of these. Okay. Oh, because we're going to put one on each side. I see what you did there, but I don't see the black ones. I see the gray ones. I don't see the black ones. I'm supposed to have black ones that are just like this. Oh, there's one. Yep. The less stuff that's on your table, the easier it is. But I just remember being exposed to so much popular media that even if you wouldn't call all of the cast completely diverse, you could definitely see the diversity of thought, because that's what true diversity is. You know, what we're doing now is more of like placating diversity. True diversity is diversity of thought, it's diversity of experience, it's diversity of background. Because when you limit diversity to just skin color, and this is as controversial as I'll ever get on my channel. Oh my God, look. He's coming together. This is as controversial as I'll ever get on this channel. But when diversity is just limited to skin color, you miss things like background. You miss the experience of life. And one of the things our popular media, in my childhood anyway, was really good at, and you can see that through Star Wars, was it provided a diversity of experience. You know, one of the great things about all of these amazing sci-fi properties that are out there is anyone could find themselves in any property. You could watch any of these incredible media and basically see yourself. And it didn't matter what the characters looked like, because you didn't connect with the character based on what they look like. If that was true anime, nobody would connect. Nobody looks like this. You see, no one looks like that. But with all of those popular media that I got to experience growing up, the really cool thing about them was that because they prided themselves on giving us characters that had diversity of background, diversity of experience, diversity of upbringing, diversity in socioeconomic class, that helped create worlds and characters that felt very real instead of artificial. And I think that's what that big difference is that we can't really put our finger on between the older versions of these media and the newer versions of the media we love. Y'all, I dropped a piece on the floor and it is ruining my day. Don't tell me how to live my life. Because if this is wrong, I don't want to be right. But anywho, as I flip ahead here and try to figure out what the next 47 pieces I'm going to need are, trust the process, right? Trust the process. Ah! Okay, apparently I didn't clamp some of these in. There we go. But one of the beautiful things about media during that period of Hollywood history was there was just a more acceptable openness to explore all kinds of stories and explore them, you know, in truth. Because remember, good fiction has an element of truth to it. And when fiction disconnects from the truth that it represents, then people no longer feel that it's real enough to indulge in. one of the greatest characters that came out of Star Wars was Princess Leia. Um, the archetype princess up until that point was, she needed rescuing. She always needed rescuing in the end. Very rarely was the princess the hero. Or if she was still super dainty about it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with being a dainty princess. If that is the kind of princess that you identify with, go head on. It does not make a difference to me. But when Princess Leia shows up, she's doing something incredible for her people. And you find out just how incredible it is later on. But she is in the thick of battle. She stands up to the big baddie, Darth Vader of the series, and says, I'm not giving you the information you want. You're not going to, make me bend to your will. I am woman, hear me roar. Grr, and you believe her. I mean, and if you ever seen Carrie Fisher in real life or seen her compared to the stature of the other actors in the movie, she teensy. She itsy bitsy woman. Okay, so that's how this is going to stay in place. I got two pieces here that are just over here just sliding around because they are not connected to anything. But now I see how they're going to end up being connected. Lego, you're out of control, Lego. But now we've introduced a princess who is more than just pretty, who is more than a heroine that needs rescuing. She is in control. She understands the world she's in. She is in the fight with her people. She doesn't just have people fighting for her. She's part of the battle. She's a pilot. She's a fighter. And she doesn't know it yet, but she also possesses the force within her. So she is a force, literally a force to be reckoned with. And coming out of, the women's lib movement of the 60s and 70s and all that, she was a character that we could connect to, especially as a girl. Because, there's a social construct that exists that says what, men and women are supposed to be and how they're supposed to act. And then Princess Leia showed up. And Princess Leia is cool. Princess Leia fights. Princess Leia tells the bad guys what it's going to be. Princess Leia is in the thick of the skirmish. She's not running away. She's not hiding. She doesn't need to be separate from the men doing battle. She's in the battle. And as a little girl, I cannot begin to tell you how absolutely encouraging and amazing it was to experience that kind of character. Because you see, like, the Sailor Moons. Obviously, I grew up watching that, but that's also a cartoon. This was a movie with real humans, and you saw real humans doing heroic things and fighting the amazing bad guy. And it was just absolutely awe-inspiring as a little kid to see a girl kicking butt. Not just with the guys, but against the guys. Look at this. I just built a dude's arm. This is all cubes. Well, not all cubes, but I mean, come on, Lego. You're out of control. Now I gotta do that side. She was a kick-butt princess that you could believe. Was a true kick-butt princess. And any little girl could see herself as Leia. And that's when you know you've created a really good character. Now, to be clear, it is important for there to be ethnic diversity in media. I'm not saying that's not important, but it should be natural and not forced. Like when you look at, Black Panther. It kind of wouldn't be believable if all the characters from Wakanda didn't look the way they look. That's how I'm going to say that. But that's why fantasy is such an important genre. It's fantasy. It's not real. So if the character is crafted well enough, anyone can find joy and connection with that character. Nobody in Japan looks like that. I've been there. They don't. I look more like a cartoon character, you know. But when media is done well, children everywhere can look up to Luke Skywalker. Everyone can feel the pain of Darth Vader when he realizes what he's done wrong. Everyone can look at Leia and go, man, that is a strong, fierce woman, and she's still feminine and beautiful. Good fiction, good media, good fantasy transcends petty things like skin color. It transcends gender. You build characters that feel real and you put them in fantastic situations. But the character is so well crafted that anyone can connect with that character. And that's why those original movies are so much better than some of the new stuff we're getting. Oh my God, look how great he is. Ah, this is so great. I think when they came out with this series, The Mandalorian, I think Disney, which granted, Disney fandom aside, they own almost everything we love now, so but you know, I think Disney hit on a good one with The Mandalorian because it kind of harkened back to the older way that storytelling was done pre-modern whatever the heck is going on in Hollywood right now. There wasn't a need to just make everybody feel special. That's the best way I could say that. And when you have characters that don't take their helmets off, when the main, most beloved character is a little green alien baby who eats frogs, then that suspension of disbelief becomes greater. And then when more of the characters are so diverse in who they are, you got the bounty hunters, you have an orphan, you've got the galactic empire, all of these amazing things happening, then it becomes a fun story again. And it becomes a world in which anyone can find that connection or find that message. While there is always a place for media that definitely targets a specific audience, like there's stuff I read as a woman that probably was written directly to women, for women, about women. Might not interest men. That's fine. But when we think about our popular media and our fantasy, I think what makes fantasy so amazing is it's real without being real. And it provides universal connection points because rather than relying on conventional versions of diversity, because there's that fantasy layer on there, it allows writers and it allows directors a type of flexibility that simply does not exist in any other media, for lack of not media, genre. So he's looking pretty good, actually. So look, he's got a belt. I did some of this without pausing, without putting it in, because y'all watching me flip through the pages is not entertaining. But I've got my Mandalorian himself together. I don't have his weapons together yet. And there's a couple of other pieces to him. But how about we pick up finishing building him in the next video? Because this video is already quite long. And we all know I can talk forever. So yeah, I rambled a little bit. But that's what you do when you're doing two things at once. But no, I really enjoy and appreciate that my parents, especially my dad, were very much pro like all the things. Because the more options you're exposed to, that just gives you more ways to enjoy the world. It can't always be about trying to find another version of me. That exists, but there's other versions of you. There's other versions of that person. And the way that we make the world better and make people care about each other is curiosity. It's the curiosity to learn and experience that which is different than me. So even though historically in my country, a lot of media tended to lean one direction, you know, there is still media that exists that represents me very well. And others that claims to represent me that I don't feel any connection with at all, but we won't talk about that today. But the joy in being a well-rounded nerd is that now I get glimpses into what connects with other people in different ways. I get to understand more about why other people think and feel the way that they do. I get to understand more about a culture because folklore from across the planet tells you a lot about the culture that it came from. I get to open up and experience life through different eyes. And because of that, that makes me curious about people rather than afraid of them or suspicious of them. I choose to live my life in such a way that I am always looking for the next, the more, the better, rather than being suspicious that something might not quite be exactly what I want. This video took an interesting turn, didn't it? But we'll finish building our Mandalorian in the next video. This was fun. He still has quite a few pieces left. These itty bitty pieces wear me out. Yeah, that's so many. Oh my god, look at all this. That's just, there's still like 50 more pieces down. Am I ever going to be ready to build the bigger ones? I don't know. But I hope you enjoyed that video and my ramblings. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.